welcome to The Weekender. Good morning.
Morning, guys.
Hey, guys.
So, we've got an action-packed show. Okay, we're going to be covering 40K, the new one.
It's getting closer.
Getting excited about this. I'm getting excited about this. Is it 2 years too early?
Depends how far they go with it.
Well, no. It's a really strange one because, you know, we've all got used to this kind of like 4-year cycle, okay? 40K comes out, 2 years later, Fantasy comes out, 2 years after that.
All right, so they've jumped the gun on this one by 2 years.
They've skipped Fantasy this year.
Right.
Everything we're hearing is that there will be no Fantasy update this year.
Maybe they're happy with how Fantasy's going.
I don't know. I suspect... I'll tell you what I suspect when we get to that part of the show. We're also going to be talking a little segment on some Kickstarters that are exciting us, and then we're going to close out the show looking at some cool movies for the weekend, or for some other weekend. First things first, though, I want to just give a quick update on a technical thing with Beasts of War.
Yep.
Okay. I was having a chat with Matt from Mini Wargaming.
Aye.
I get one of these chats once in a blue moon. Myself and Matt get an opportunity to sit down and just have a good old chinwag about how things are going and, you know, in the industry with each other. And, you know, if we can help each other out, we try our best to help each other out. Matt has mentioned to me a few times about doing a free trial of Backstage. Okay, there's always been time or technical hurdles to doing it, but we were having a chat this week. So this is all Matt's doing. So big shout out and a thanks to Matt. This week, Matt actually convinced me to go ahead and do it because he's been saying to me for a while, you know, you need to do a free trial. You really need to do a free trial.
I suppose it gives people the flavour of what they're missing.
Yes, but it also, you know, there's a lot of people out there that would like to try it. You know, and then maybe stick around with it. You know, so
There is so much extra content in the Backstage part.
Yeah. The free trial,
Absolutely
you're going to
tons.
have to be very quick off the mark to go after what you think you're going to want from it.
yeah.
You know,
there's an awful lot
ton to
in
work
there.
through.
You know, to give you an idea, we're currently running. There's a new show called Hobby Lab, which is going out, which is a great little show where we're building cool little
stuff.
terrain pieces and stuff like that there. We also have the Technique Toolbox, which is running at the moment, where it's all about the 12 essential techniques of painting and stuff like that.
I have been discussing with Roman, and there may be one or two more that we've been discussing in the background.
Well, as part of all this, what we've done is I've been working this week on streamlining the subscription process, okay? So now whenever you create a free account on Beasts of War, okay, you'll get a little email saying, learn about Beasts of War in 7 days. You click yes on that because by clicking yes on that, it subscribes you to a little 7-day course. Okay. And what we've done is we've wrote 7 emails and you get one per day. So you get the first one an hour after you've signed up, the next one the next day, and then each day after that. And in those 7 emails, basically we take you through the ins and outs of Beasts of War.
Yeah, so each little place you can go to sit, chat.
Yeah, well, one of them takes you through how to navigate Beasts of War, how to look at the genre hubs or go to the game hubs. Another one looks at the forums community and the activity stream. Another one looks at the chat and games and stuff that you can play on Beasts of War. And one looks specifically at how to browse through all of the kind of tutorials and things like that we have on Beasts of War. In that, we have the link that you can use to get your free 7-day trial. So we're doing a 7-day trial, which I think is ample. You know, it's a great way for you to get in, have a look around, see what you think.
You've got time to check out the Hobby Lab, check out the painting tutorials. You can go back into some of the older 3 Colors Up stuff.
There's
and actually,
a ton of
if there's ones that you saw, couldn't get into at the time and want to have a quick peek at, there you go.
So, you know, we are gradually, as things have been settling down for us, we are gradually, you know, increasing the amount of content and the amount of backstage content and stuff that we're doing. But at the same time, we're always trying to push the envelope on quality, because it's not only about quantity. You know, we're always trying to improve the quality of shows.
There's no point just putting out a video that is just noise for noise sake. You know, there has to be meat to it.
True. So a couple other little updates. We'll be talking more about this in XLBS, which is the extra long backstage version of the Weekender. For example, one of the things that's happened this week is we have started the process to move to 1080p. So we're bumping everything from 720p to 1080p. How sustainable this turns out to be, we will find out. But we're starting that process. There are a few other things going on in terms of fancy newsletters. We set ourselves a challenge about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
What would it take to create the best newsletters in the world?
Yeah, so
that sounds so pretentious saying that, but that's how Beasts of War started. You know, when we first, myself and Lloyd, sat down and thought about Beasts of War, I read this book. It was a long time ago I read this book.
The Internet for Dummies?
No, it was after that. I read this book. It was I can't even remember who it was, but it has a picture of a sumo wrestler slam dunking a basketball on the front of it.
That is amazing. I want to see this image.
So it's called Dream, Believe, Do.
It was one of them kind of businessy books. I read a lot of
sumo
them.
wrestlers.
But this one, the guy had basically one tip that just stuck in my head, and he said, when you're thinking about doing a project, write down what's it going to take to be the best in the world. And then that's a kind of a thing we've always lived by. Whether you ever get there or not is another matter. But it's always good to focus your attention and try to say, right, that's where we've set our sights.
Yeah.
How are we going to get there? And you never get there in one step. You know, it takes a hell of a lot of time and a lot of steps. So it's a continuous process of trying to get there. So we have these newsletters, and we're trying to create what we believe will be the best in the world. Okay, so and they're divided up. If you're a hardcore gamer, and these are all free, by the way. If you're a hardcore gamer, you could subscribe to Gamer Daily. Okay, which is stories in your inbox every morning. Okay, of what's going on in the world of gaming.
Yeah, so just your own little personal news flow that drops in to say hello in the morning.
Bang. If you're not quite so hardcore and you don't want to hear from Beasts of War every single day, Monday to Friday, because we don't send them out Saturday, Sunday. We're not going to totally torture you. We just want to give you something to do while you're at work. If you're not quite so hardcore, you could subscribe to one of the Gamer Weeklies. And we have Sci-Fi Gamer Weekly, Fantasy Gamer Weekly, Historical Gamer Weekly, and Pulp Punk Horror and Weird Gamer Weekly.
Yeah, in those, I've taken a look at some of the templates and stuff you guys have been working on. We've got the news, reviews, articles, tips, the whole thing related to those specific topics.
Yeah, so what they have are beautiful looking emails that they'll arrive with you once a week. Sometimes they even have email exclusive content and stuff in there that you will only be able to access via the email.
Yeah.
And we also have every single one of those has a hobby section where it's pulling some of the latest painting and hobby stories that we have, and a selection. There's a wee bit in there called Have You Tried?
Yeah.
Which is pulling some of the things, some of the cool tips and stuff. You may need a backstage pass, though, to access some of the Have You Tried.
One of the ones I saw whenever we were looking at the template, we were actually all having a look through this earlier in the week. There's a little segment for the galleries.
Yes.
So the new galleries are up, starting to get running.
We're beta trialing the new gallery system for Beasts of War at the moment.
I like the fact that they feed into it too.
Yeah, well, basically, as people are uploading into the galleries, the really good ones also get picked and dropped into the emails as well, so as to show off people's work and for you guys to see some really cool stuff. So yeah, it's there. If you want to sign up to it, we're running beta trials over the next few weeks, where people can sign up and you can feed back to us on what you think. It's a continuous process. You know, our work is never done. We're always looking at how we can improve things. So yeah, there'll be a link in the show notes. But if ever there was a week that you wanted to come across to Beasts of War and create an account, this will be it. Because the other thing I'm going to do to try and encourage some new members to come across, so as I can test this email thing that we've got going on for the 7 days, how to learn Beasts of War. If you come across to Beasts of War, create an account, okay? Or if you have an account, you can enter as well, and post a comment on this video on Beasts of War. So not on YouTube this time, but on Beasts of War. We're going to give away a copy of Myth the board game.
Ooh.
That's really cool. So we're gonna pick a winner at random, and you could win Myth the board game, and that gives me some data as well to actually see does the 7 day tutorial on how to use Beasts of War
does it work?
Because. And again, back to my buddy Matt over at Mini Wargaming, if it all goes up, I might have to switch it all off and start again.
And we can all blame Matt.
But no, a massive thanks to Matt for finally convincing me to take my finger out and go and set this up. So we'll see how it goes, guys. Okay, on with the show now that the updates are out of the way. First things first. The thing on every hot-blooded male's mind right now is a new show from Geek and Sundry.
Yep.
And it's got the hottest, and I mean hottest weapons in it that I've ever seen. Right, it's a show called Arcade Arms, and if you're into your weapons, this is for you. Right, tell me about it. You guys have been watching a bit at it.
Right, well, the first episode's out.
Yeah.
The first thing they've done is Elder Scrolls Online. They've taken a Daedric Prince's mace. So this is a big, heavy lump of bronze that they forged. I think they said it's like £35.
Yeah, £35.
And it's
That's quite cheap.
no, in weight.
Oh, right, that kind of pounds.
They take you through how it's made. So going from a
Well, you've got a virgin. You spill her blood all over.
No, we're not doing it in game. This is in real life. They have made this.
Although maybe that's in the edited bits.
Maybe that's in Mr. Wheaton's private collection.
Oh, okay, right.
But no, they take you through the steps. So they find themselves an armourer.
Yep.
And they give him the design. He does all the math, works out how big and heavy the thing needs to be. He does his first sculpt up.
Yeah.
Makes his rubber mould.
Yep.
Then moves on to casting from that a wax mould.
Yep.
And then from that, he makes his final mould, which he then melts the wax out of and makes the big bronze mace.
Yeah.
Then they've went to a guy who is an American knight, who full armour, goes to competitions where they have full contact medieval battles.
Okay.
They
Full
hand him-
contact.
Yes, full contact medieval battles.
I think I'd wear extra thick armor to something like that.
Yeah. Well, he was actually talking about broken bones, shattered eye sockets and stuff just from these competitions, so they are pretty rough and ready.
There's a
Right.
couple of things like that starting up in Northern Ireland at the moment, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Full contact
Medieval warfare.
medieval
Yeah.
warfare.
There's some longsword fences happening in Belfast at the moment. So
Yeah, but
And when one of these idiots gets their head cut off, really, when one of them gets their head cut off, then what's going to happen?
we
Really?
all
well,
laugh and fight.
he did sign that disclaimer. You know, that little dotted line, that's a killer.
Yeah.
But anyway, they hand him the mace and they actually take what he would use in his combat. So a mace which is small, dumpy, the head of it is about that size. And if you get a crack in the head with that,
Looks
that
like a
would do
German
damage.
hand grenade.
Pretty much. It's essentially
Yeah.
a potato masher. And you think, getting hit with a lump of metal that big on your head, that's going to hurt.
I think
Yes.
it's a bit more than a potato masher.
No. German hand grenade. The potato masher. Get it?
No,
Because
he
it looks
doesn't
like a
get it.
potato masher.
I'm an idiot.
Right, anyway.
No, it's all right.
Forget I
Sam,
said
no,
that.
it's okay, Sam. You're with me on this. That was history. So.
Yeah, but they take a shot at a chest plate
Yes.
with this mace.
A breastplate.
Yes.
Yeah.
And fine, it leaves a fair sized dent, about something the size of an orange. Then they
In
take
the breastplate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Am I putting you off
Say
here?
it once more. Say it once more.
Something about
Once
this
more,
seems
look at the
sticking
camera
in your
straight
mind.
face, if you please.
Okay.
But anyway. Oh, I feel.
No, it's okay. Keep going.
Okay.
You're talking about the breastplate.
There you go. Right, so then they hand him the fantasy mace that they've made.
Yes.
£35 of death.
Right.
This thing is big, it is spiky, it has skulls and stuff worked in, it's beautiful.
It sounds like 40k.
It takes one shot at the breastplate, decimates it.
Decimates
in one
it.
shot.
Yeah.
Just the thing just flies
I've
apart.
actually seen this clip, so if we can bring this clip up,
course,
you,
of
you
course.
guys can have a quick look at this.
This is what happens when a maze hits you.
So that's what, I don't know, fractured rib or two? But let's see what Molag Ball can do.
Time to torture some mortal.
You just turned to jelly. This is gonna be real fun.
You know, I think I could grow to like something like this.
Okay, that's interesting, but I don't buy it, okay? That guy weakened that breastplate with his little one before he smacked it with his big one.
I don't know. I think if that had been
Yeah.
striking fresh, it still would have tore it in two.
You reckon?
I reckon.
It's a mean-looking weapon, though, isn't it?
It is.
The televisions don't stand up much better than the breastplate, aren't
Oh,
they?
yeah. It does go on.
Right. Well, that's it. It's the news
Yeah.
show from Geek and Sundry called Arcade Arms. We're big fans already.
Yep.
Okay, if you could pick a weapon, okay, what weapon would it be?
That's a really tough one. See, I would ask for a firearm, but I don't know if they would actually make a firearm that would work.
Okay,
know,
what one would it be?
Possibly Kerrigan sniper rifle from StarCraft 2.
Okay, and if it had to be a swingy, slappy weapon, what would that be?
I would probably stick to the Skyrim universe and try for something like the Ebony Blades, because I think they would look really cool made real. Sam?
Cool. Sam?
I would hedge my bets and go for both a firearm and a sword, and go for Squall's Gunblade from Final Fantasy.
Could be interesting.
That would be interesting. It has both. It's like a...
Yeah.
There's a gun
It's a
sword.
gun and a blade.
You make sure you get a picture of that up during this.
Sam, you're having to hunt this image down for me.
Will do.
Okay, if I had to pick one, it would be a swingy one, okay? In the last episode, before I went off with wisdom teeth out, horrendous pain, which I'm only now recovering from.
Yep.
It was a hell of a lot of pain. In the whole cosplay thing, right?
Yeah.
There was one cosplay character that I just cannot get out of my head, right? I'm not sure if this is his name, but I think he's called Pyramid Head.
Yes, I know who you're
Right?
on about.
Yeah, from Silent Hill.
Now, Pyramid Head has this enormous sword
Yeah.
that he just drags behind
There's
him.
a reason for that.
What is it?
Because it's so big and friggin' heavy, you wouldn't be fit to lift it.
All right, oh, okay. But
He's
who is
from-
this Pyramid
he's from
guy?
Silent Hill 2.
Yeah.
He doesn't really have an identity. He's a monster that the town conjures from the main guy's psyche. I forget what it's supposed to be. I think he represents his suppression is in
Yeah.
the anger and sexual suppression.
I knew there was going to be sex in there somewhere.
Yeah,
it had
it's Silent
to be.
Hill, of course there is.
Yeah.
It is a messed up game.
Scariest environment imaginable, that's all you had to say.
Scariest environment imagine.
With
okay.
one of the scariest
if,
villains.
If you could create a sword, it would be that one for me, or possibly one of the mega axes from Fable.
Oh,
Really big
Yes.
ass axes
Yeah.
from Fable. I think that would be really cool. Anyway,
Yep.
what a fantastic concept.
Yeah, it's
And
gonna be cool.
We'll have to wait and see where they go with that. Okay, we're going to take a very quick break. When we get back from the break, we're going to talk about 40K.
Uh-oh.
So we'll see
skulls.
you right after this. And welcome back. So, this year, in about 1 week's time, 40K 6th edition launches. Sorry, 40K 7th edition
edition.
launches.
You're behind.
Which, well, am I?
Addition behind, sorry.
Am I? The reality is that we're 2 years ahead of schedule here. There's a few ways to look at this. Okay. There are as usual, the community is splitting into factions here. Okay, and it's never black and white because even the factions are quite diverse. You have those that just despise everything that Games Workshop do, and to be fair, it's not a lot of hope for you guys on that front. you're just saved by the fact that there's so many other really cool companies out there. You get the ones that are really excited about this new edition coming out, and I gotta say, rightly so, I'm kind of in that boat as well. And then you get the others who are getting a little bit sick of what they feel is being nickel and dimed. In other words, there's a lot of stuff coming out very quickly, and stuff that they've spent good money on is getting replaced before it's time, as they see it.
Too much of a burn through?
Well, let's look at this for a minute, right? I'm a bit ambivalent at the moment to some of this. I'm not exactly sure just how I feel. Part of me is very excited. Another part of me is a bit confused by the pace. Games Workshop really ramped up the pace of releases. Okay, now you'll get people on Facebook that'll say, "Oh, you complain when they don't release enough, and now you complain that they're releasing too much." It's not really like that. It is just a case of, I like to be able to understand a game in it, and if I can understand it kind of its entirety, that's always a good thing as well. In the past, about 3 years ago, we would have had every codex, and any question or whatever that came up, we would have known exactly where to go for it.
Yep.
Now armies have codexes, they have supplements, and they have digital supplements and things like that as well. So all of the knowledge is getting, I feel, disseminated a bit too much now. I think that there's too much split.
It's been
all over the
dispersed a
place.
bit too
Yes,
widely.
the dispersal, that's exactly what I'm saying. Now we're at the point where 7th edition is upon us. And again, there's a lot of guys out there that have invested in 6th edition, okay, which, to be fair, I didn't find an awful lot of an improvement over 5th edition. I really enjoyed 5th edition. 6th edition was good too. It wasn't amazingly different in many respects. However, they feel that maybe 2 years is a bit too short for an edition.
The game hasn't lived its full lifespan, perhaps, is what they're saying.
But there's two ways to look at this, okay? There's probably multiple ways to look at this. One is, did Games Workshop pull forward 40k? They put out what wasn't a particularly great set of results. Okay, it wasn't the worst set of results. They still made a profit, but sales and stuff were down. It wasn't as healthy as what it has been in the past. No dividend, stuff like that. Did they decide that we can't have forward another year of bad results, or certainly another 2 years of bad results, where we've invested into fantasy and fantasy continue its decline if they get it wrong?
Which is a shame, because it is a great game.
Super game.
I love fantasy.
Super game, but it is in decline.
Yeah, it is.
Or did they decide, well, we can't really afford that risk. We want to make sure that we don't post 2 sets of bad results in a row. Let's pull forward 40k. It's our big seller. It's the thing that rejuvenates the game. And let's drive it out. I wouldn't fault them if they've decided that, by the way. I wouldn't criticize that thinking whatsoever. Their job is to make sure they have a healthy company that produces the best toy soldiers in the world. That's their mission statement. That's what they have to do. So if that's what it takes to do it, I would not fault them one iota for that.
More power to them.
The other thing, the other idea is that maybe it wasn't that. Maybe this has been the plan all along, okay? And Games Workshop never strike me as a company that particularly knee-jerk either, which is why I don't know whether that first statement that I made there is true or not. It's hard to gauge, because they're not really a company that knee-jerks so much. They tend to have a plan and kind of stick to it a bit. Maybe what we're seeing is just the result of the speeded up nature of Games Workshop's release schedule. They've been speeding things up. White Dwarf and all was changed to facilitate a speeding up of the release schedule. So maybe this is a result of that. Maybe that's what we're seeing.
Are we going to see shorter lifespans on the rule set for both games then?
Yes, I suspect that we could be entering a phase of the company where we do start to see much shorter lifespans on the core rule books.
So each game would have a 2-year lifespan, so year to year it would flip back and forth maybe?
If that would be the case, do you think they would push more towards a more digital format over the physical?
I think so. I think we may well start to see more emphasis as the years go by on digital, but I think that's going to happen anyway, Sam. I think that's just the nature of where we're going technology-wise.
Yes, and it leaves me in tears.
It is, in some ways it's a good thing, in other ways it's not. That rapidity is the word I'm looking for. I think is going to be quite painful for the tournament scene. Okay?
To try and keep up with the latest.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm going to talk about some of the specifics of this new edition as we've seen so far. By the time this airs, there could be even more out there. We could even have a full leak by that stage. But based on what we've kind of seen to date, changes, you can't release an edition without there being changes. There has to be changes of some sort. And in many respects, it'd probably be changes for change's sake if they're going to try and cut the lifespan of this thing down to 2 years.
Even though something's not broke, they're still going to try and fix it, maybe.
Yes, yeah, because if this is now it, and they want to start releasing core rules every 2 years to try and change our collections every 2 years, which is what this is about. You know, don't forget for a second that this is about stimulating sales.
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, tournament play is going to start feeling the pressure, I think. I don't know. Some of you guys are tournament organizers, like Owen from Huddersfield Games, big friend of ours. Maybe Owen can drop into the comments below and tell us, from his perspective, does a 2-year cycle, does he think that that's going to start adding kind of pressure that just as people are really starting to get into the meta of the game, bam, it's going to change again? Or maybe it doesn't matter at all. Maybe tournament organizers are sitting going, rubbing their hands on this and saying, yeah, it's extra work for us, but in many respects it's more fun because maybe after a 2-year period people start to bore of it a little bit and maybe start to drop out.
Yeah, we see the other thing is your power gamer is going to have to work harder now to actually keep up with it as well, because you have some people that just play to win.
Yes.
With a 2-year cycle, at the end of, say, year 2, perhaps they're finally hitting that point where no one can beat them, they're at where they want to be, and it's going to reset them to now learn again. Possibly.
I think life is getting harder for the power gamer anyway, because all the supplements and all the additions, a power gamer can walk into a store and I think these days genuinely not know what he's going to face. There's so much diversity built into the thing, and that brings me to my first point of the changes. Okay. Because diversity is now being built into 40k. They've come up with this thing called the bound and the unbound army lists.
Yes, I've heard about this.
I'm a massive fan. I'm going to put my hands up and say I love the idea.
I like the idea.
But you guys all know I'm as fluffy a gamer as there ever was. So I'm looking at this purely from the point of view of being able to do some extraordinary fluffy games based on some of the cool books and stuff that I've read. An unbound army ignores the force organization chart. So all you have is points. Okay. Now I believe that allies and stuff like that are still, it's not unbound allies. So you're not going to mix your Tyranids with your Space Marines and stuff like that. It's not that. What it does mean though is that if you wanted to do an old Terminator army, you can absolutely do an old Terminator army now.
While I do love that from a fluff standpoint, and that's something that back when I did play 40k we used to do a lot anyway. Yeah. I am a bit nervous of it that it would end up making games too unbalanced when you're just playing.
But that's exactly why it's there though, because games outside of a tournament, games are not supposed to be balanced. Okay? And sorry, I heard you. Somebody's just said, but people don't play to lose, and you're absolutely right. But that's where
Warhammer seems to go that way.
That's where you change the win condition. Okay, a lot of battles throughout history and a lot of battles into the future are not going to be balanced. You know, the day that humanity gets invaded by some creepy crawly thing from outer space, if you think
Aye.
that battle is going to be balanced,
No. The one thing I would say about the Unbound stuff, it makes it eminently kid-friendly. Because a kid can walk into a GW and buy whatever the hell he wants.
anything. They could buy anything
Exactly.
or everything.
They're not
So-
walking in and going, okay, so I'm going to buy this, and this, and then they come to play a game and go, well, you've bought all that wrong. You've clearly not studied hard enough to know how to play this game.
Yeah.
Instead, they can just whack down on the table and they're gaming.
How many times have you had this battle where you've thought, if only I had another couple of dreadnoughts in
Yep.
here?
Yeah.
You know, the first thing people look at whenever they saw Unbound Armies was spammy lists. Oh, everybody, it's all Terminators. Oh, a complete Helldrake army.
Yeah. Oh, look at all my Sternguard.
It's not about that.
Yep.
You know, what it is about, it allows us to accurately model some of the battles that were out there. You know, it allows us to field maybe some more dreadnoughts and things like that. You know, to have a full-on dreadnought walking machine of death that then is followed up by tactical squads and everything else. It allows us to model battles that maybe aren't balanced. Okay, so maybe it's a bunch of guys taking on the likes of all the big nids. Okay, maybe there would be no termagants and stuff in there. It's the big
Yeah,
nids.
they found their
Yeah.
way into the center of a nest. Or something.
Yeah, they're hunting in the big
The
breeding
key
pools.
to the Unbound armies, as I see it, is that that's not a game as in I'm going to take my Unbound army and you're going to take your Unbound army. We're not going to know what each other has and we're going to play to the death. You could do that. Would that be fun? Probably not much fun at all. What it's more likely is Sam, me and you sitting down and saying, right, let's construct a really cool game. What have we got? We have a whole bunch of big nids and we've got a whole bunch of Blood Angels, right? I think we could come up with something really, really cool.
That would just be a kill team thing. All those Xenos right there.
Yeah, you get a bunch of Blood Angels. You stick them in a Land Raider. You have some dreadnoughts and stuff coming down in drop pods
So
to support them on
you
turn
build the story
2.
around why you have everything.
But the important thing is to set the win condition. Okay, it's not about. For the Nids, their win condition is I have to completely roll you over by turn 3.
Yes.
Anything after turn 3 is a draw, and if you manage to hold an objective till turn 4, you win. Do you see now where the likes of the Unbound armies start to come into play?
It might be an unbalanced game, but with a different type of win condition, it makes it sort of more balanced, but you having to fight for it.
It's not about balance, it's about narrative.
Yeah.
And you choose your win conditions to suit the narrative.
I have to admit, I hadn't thought about the Unbound armies in that way, but now you're speaking about them from a fluff perspective. I've been playing those sorts of games all the time I've been gaming. I've rarely bothered with the actual force list. So that actually makes me really hopeful for it.
And there's another point, because you're absolutely right. And many of us have been ignoring the likes of the Force Organization chart and stuff like that anyway. And there's people out there that have been doing that, and other players are saying, so why did it need written into the rules
Because
when
if
you've
it's
been
not
doing
written
it?
down, your fun is not my fun, therefore it is wrong.
Bingo. This is one of the peculiar things within a portion. I don't know if it's the majority of the 40k player base or not, but there's this peculiar thing within 40k that if it is not written down, therefore
It cannot be.
it cannot be. Okay, it's extraordinary. You know, the guy that invented it, Rick Priestley, is the biggest proponent of you bring what you've got, I'll bring what I've got, and we'll work it out as we go along. So it's games like Bolt Action have been unbound from the start. Hail Caesar has been unbound from the start. And Bolt Action, I've got to tell you, is one of the most fun games on the planet. You know, I'm glad they've written it in. Okay, because I think that anything that encourages people, youngsters that are coming into the hobby, or people that are coming back to the hobby, to have a look at it and say, hang on a second,
I'm free!
you telling me and my mates can come up with the most wacky, extraordinary, complex, simple, whatever you want, narrative games.
Yep.
And it's all there, and nobody can turn around and say
It's not in the rules, you can't do it.
it's not in the rules, or it was just you guys making it up. Well, actually, no, we were playing Unbound.
Yeah.
I think Unbound can end up being the new hardcore of 40K.
I never expect to see an Unbound tournament. I don't expect to see it.
I would love to see an Unbound tournament, and I believe that any power gamer worth his salt should love the idea of an Unbound tournament. You could face anything. If you want to demonstrate your mastery of 40K, then man up and go Unbound. Because if you don't, you're just a whimpering little bitch.
Oh, thank you.
There you
Thank
go.
very much.
There you go, power players. That is what I think. I think
That is the gauntlet laid
no,
right
really.
there.
If you want to demonstrate your power in gaming,
fair enough.
Unbound's the way to go. You would walk into an Unbound tournament set at 2,000 points. You would have no idea what you'd be facing.
Meta, out the window.
What would you do?
Yep.
You could turn up with 2,000 points of Helldrakes, but I guarantee you that somebody else will have 2,000 points of something else that will deal with you.
Yep. Yeah, but that's kind of forcing you to not just splurge on the spam. Because if you spam on one thing, there's one thing that'll deal with you, and it'll be guaranteed that it'll be found somewhere.
I think Unbound, they're all crying about it. Okay, well, maybe not all of them, but they're crying about it. I think Unbound will be the ultimate challenge for any power gamer, because that will demonstrate whether you have the ability to really deal with, with
It's
something.
a true test of understanding how an army functions as to what you need, instead of I'm just going to take all of this one thing and I win.
Yeah. It's I think some of the Unbound armies we'd see would be
interesting.
astonishing.
It will be interesting.
That's an
astonishing.
idea. Can anyone come up with some good Unbound armies and situations?
There's a way to make your post count for your box of myth. Post below your thoughts on Unbound army lists, because I would love to read them. Absolutely love to read them. One of the other big changes is psychic powers. Okay, so psychic powers have always been a kind of a complex thing in 40K. And, psychic powers happen at different phases of the game. And more often than not, you'll forget to use your psychic power. Now there is a psychic power phase. Okay?
So it's becoming more like Magic and Fantasy.
It's very much becoming like Magic and Fantasy. I believe there's even a dice pool and stuff like that.
So
that you build
D6
up.
plus Psyker level assumed.
Yeah, it's like that. We'll find out more when we get the book and we actually start to play and do some tutorial videos. I don't know what to think of this. If it brings psychic powers is always a difficult one. At the moment, am I a big fan of psychic powers? Not really. I think that they're a little bit all over the place. Okay, however. Am I a big fan of the way that psychic and magic abilities work in fantasy? Not really. Not really.
I've
I
seen
like
them work in
parts of it.
fantasy.
Yeah, it's. I think that I like the psychic powers to be a little bit more straightforward, so that you know what you're doing and your opponent knows what you're doing.
Yeah.
Now that we're starting to deal with pools of psychic powers and stuff like this here, it all starts to feel that it might possibly be a little bit cumbersome. We'll have to wait and see. One of the good things is if you have a psychic power phase and that's the only phase in which psychic powers can be used, well, that greatly simplifies a lot of things. And for anybody that's working through it, you now have a structure. You're less likely
you
to
now have
forget.
that dedicated moment where you go, do I have any?
Yeah.
Instead of trying to think through the entire game, do I have it? Do I have it? Do I have it?
But how this how this turns out in practice, we're going to have to wait and see. There's a great video up by Jervis Johnson where he's talking about this, so we'll get the links to that in the show notes.
Yep.
I'm actually rather hopeful about that because I love Magic and Fantasy. I really do, although some of the miscast rules can be a bit bad, can be a bit harsh.
That's the point.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you miscast even if you roll double sixes in Fantasy. But I'm curious as to how it will work in the 40k setting. In Fantasy, it's very random, and that works because it's supposed to be the winds of magic across the face of the Warhammer world. I'm interested in how they'll build
Ties of
40k.
Well, look what happened to Fantasy. One of the main changes in Fantasy 7th edition, is it 7th
Not
or 8th
sure,
edition?
not
I
sure.
can't remember. 7th edition, I think it is. Was that there was a lot more randomness brought into play. I have a feeling that we might see that in 40k. I think we're going to start to see maybe another dollop of randomness. And we do see that even in the likes of the bound armies. Okay, now bound armies are armies that follow the Force organization chart. But you get bonuses by staying within the Force organization chart. And one of those bonuses is re-rolling on the Warlord traits and things like that, which suggests you're still rolling on Warlord traits. So I have a feeling that that there's not going to be less randomness in 40k. If anything, there's probably going to be a bit more of it.
Yeah, although bound versus unbound, that would be interesting.
Yeah, but it's not really. It doesn't matter whether it's bound versus unbound. What matters is the narrative of that story. What's the point in it? Like if you turn around to me and say 2,000 points, you're going to stay within the Force organization chart, and I don't have to.
No.
And that's
the way I would look at it is more along the lines of, okay, you're just beginning. The Force organization chart will help you along, and you'll get a couple of bonuses for that. While I can just go off and do my thing as well.
That would be horrendous.
Oh, fair enough.
That would be absolutely
Okay,
horrendous.
fair enough.
For a beginner player, you saying to a beginner player, you have to, I'm not saying this is what you're saying, by the way, but you have to stay within the Force organization chart. I'm going to go off and do whatever I want.
Well, I'm thinking more of just, it helps them to see how an army's built to start with, maybe.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, fair enough.
Especially
Just
if
Just
there
go and do
isn't
what
a
you
way
want
for
to do.
the army to be built
the way
anymore.
to do it is to sit down with your opponent and say, right, this weekend we're going to play a cool game. Let's come up with an idea of what we're going to do. Myself and Sam are going to do this. Blood Angels bust into a Tyranid hive.
Yeah.
We have to play that sometime now.
Yeah, it could be Imperial Fists defending a fortress.
Fortress, yeah.
Once you've got that, then you start to say, well, I've got this in my collection, I've got that in my collection, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
And you're not worried about all the other stuff.
Fair enough.
I don't see unbound versus bound as really being an option. If you're gonna go down that route, you may as well either stick to the Force organization chart if you want to play a traditional game of 40k, or you go the narrative route, and in which case the Force organization chart may as well go out the window. What you want is the cool stuff in there.
Fair
you
enough.
want your Storm Raven screaming in towards this Imperial
Just
Imperial Fist
all
defense.
those big, cool cinematic moments.
You could have a bound.
Okay.
Got it.
Now you could have a bound versus unbound. Say a standard army taken unprepared by a horde.
But what's the point?
It would make for the narrative of the horde attack.
Yeah, but why does he need to be bound to do that? The only
Just
thing.
saying that's one way
why I
that it
think-
could be done.
The one thing is possibly for the bonuses. Okay, we're not
Yeah.
sure what all the bonuses are going to be.
See,
at
that's
this
the thing.
stage.
The bonuses might be the why you would take the bound versus unbound.
Yeah.
'Cause unbound you can have whatever you want, but when you're bound, you have the bonuses.
We will have to wait and see. It's it all comes down to the following things. Is it too early? Mm-hmm. Is it going to be fun?
Yep.
And is it going to encourage us to spend a ton of more money on 40k minis? And that really is what the entire discussion is about until the point it releases. And then at the point it releases, then we get really stuck in and we see where we're going to go with this. But at the moment, I'm excited about it. It's come at the perfect time for me. I'm getting back into 40k, so I'm looking at it from the point of view of, just set the 6th edition rulebook to one side. I'm not going to worry about that anymore. We're going 7th.
I will admit, I am beginning to become more and more tempted to join you on a little kill team game.
I have to say, if it tempts me enough when the rule comes out, I might go find myself some Eldar and get started again.
Well,
Start building an Eldar army.
we will have to wait and see, because I have a rather tasty Chaos Force, which under the current rules I couldn't use all of it.
Yeah,
because
because
I
you
have
have too much of everything.
Because I'd have too many Hellbrutes and things like that. But now under these new rules, I can use all of it. How cool is that?
Yeah.
You know, so it's the last thing to be said on it is that we're looking at the potential of a new starter box. If they release the rules in May, don't be surprised if we see a starter box hitting for the summer. Okay, normally they come out around September time, but the rules normally don't come out until about June, July time. Rules are out a bit earlier. I wouldn't be surprised if the starter box came out a bit earlier. And the reason I think it's all being pulled forward, it could be to make way in the schedule for major Hobbit stuff that will be coming up towards Christmas time, to tie in with that third movie, which is the movie that's going to have the big battles in it, which will actually suit a Hobbit game. So, anyway, there's our thoughts on it so far. Cannot wait to get stuck into it. I really am looking forward to it.
You just mentioned The Hobbit and didn't make a height joke. Are you okay?
I'm okay.
Sorry, Sam,
we've raised your chair, Sam, so we can look eye to eye today. Okay, guys, we're going to take one final break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about Kickstarter and a little bit about some awesomely cool movies. Possibly. And welcome back. Okay, so Sam, on the Kickstarter news front, there's 3 Kickstarters that we've been having a chat about. One is the guys over at Fourth War that did the cardboard gaming table, doing quite well actually. They've got a battle ahead of them, no doubt about this.
Yeah,
you know, they've been doing their best to convince people.
That halfway mark, they're starting to get close to it.
So they're getting close to the halfway mark. One of the things that those guys have been doing relentlessly is improving the product. I've went back and I've had a look recently, and what they've done is every complaint that people have had about that product, they've been addressing. So the table now comes with plastic coverings over the feet, so you can play it in a puddle with it, and it will survive.
Okay.
They've also created an awesome aluminium table topper, which goes over the top of the cardboard. So if you were worried about your cardboard getting dented and stuff like that there, they've created aluminium table toppers. It's an optional thing that you can add, which makes them indestructible.
They also got that new that US shipping sorted out.
That was a big one, yeah. So now if you pledge on that, they now are shipping, I believe, for free in the US.
They have a warehouse.
They have a warehouse in the US. So all those US shipping charges, they're all now very, very different and a lot cheaper, if not free. Go and check it out anyway. There's some other stuff happening on Kickstarter. A buddy of ours, Tracy Constantine, has a game up called Black Market Warehouse.
Yes,
which I think's awesome looking, this little game.
It's cute. Even though it's dealing with something dark and seedy, the artwork is just so light and cute, it's fun.
I haven't really seen this one. You two were talking about it. What is it?
Right, here's the whole premise.
Yeah.
You run a warehouse. You work for a syndicate. Your boss has told you, I want all these illegal things stored in your warehouse. Go make me money. That's the height and the long and short of the game. It's going to be incredibly fun because you're stealing from each other. You're basically trying to get all these illegal things and hopefully not getting caught by the cops.
And what type of game is it?
It's a card game. Card game. Go check it out, Sam. Don't make me tell you stuff.
Yeah, so it's the artwork's great. Tracy is a bit of an artist. I love his art style. He is a very comic book kind of art style. I think it's great. If you're after a fun little board game / card game, Black Market Warehouse is definitely one that's worth going and checking out. Okay, finally, you guys have put down in my running order here the modern pinups. Now, I had a quick look at this, and I see the Beast of War lady on a bomb.
Yes.
From it's one of our cutscenes from On the Table where it has "With bombs we will win," and
Bring it up.
It has a lady riding a bomb, and here it is in miniature form.
Yeah, you also have the very cool USR one, the little Sputnik, so it's a little spaceship chick sitting on the little satellite, which was quite cool too. This was sent to me by the good Master Lyons. He just went, "Look at this! Look at it! Be amazing!"
Okay. We'll have some overlays and stuff to show you, but they are awesome. Awesome looking miniatures. So, okay, that's our lot for Kickstarter. So definitely, there's 3 there that you should go and check out. Right, to round out the show. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about some movies. This weekend sees the launch of Godzilla.
Yes.
Now, myself and Lloyd gave Godzilla a bit of a panning around Christmas time when
Yeah, I
we
remember.
were talking about
Yes.
it. However,
You were given an education.
the game or the movie's out, and the reviews it's getting are stonkingly good.
Oh, that is good to hear.
It's getting really good reviews. It's something like 91% on Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that. It's getting really, really good reviews. So maybe Godzilla is gonna stomp over the box office. So hopefully, either this weekend or next, certainly soon, we'll get a chance to go and see it. And I'm especially looking forward to seeing our buddy from Breaking Bad in it.
Yes,
So,
Mr. Heisenberg. Mr. White.
I'm actually planning to go see it this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really looking forward to it, especially because the last two films I saw in the cinema were cack.
what were they?
Transcendence,
Didn't
which
see it.
was the new Johnny Depp movie,
Mm-hmm.
which was awful, and the new animated Tarzan movie, which I walked out of. It was so bad. So
Yeah. Neither would really have come up on my radar to go and see.
we had spare time, and it was cheap on the Tuesday. So.
After being told that Godzilla had scored so highly, I thought about the other game, or the other movie that I had panned recently, and that's one of your favorites, Pacific Rim.
Yes.
Fantastic movie.
I've got to tell you,
It can be
I watched
redone.
it again,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
do you know what?
Yes.
You
It
still
was
don't like it.
even shitter than the first
Come
time.
on.
What utter shit.
It's essentially a live-action anime.
I love that movie.
Oh, it's crap.
I love that
It's
movie.
utter crap. You know, they keep referencing dinosaurs, and it's got two brains like a dinosaur.
Yeah.
What? Do dinosaurs have two brains?
I have no idea. For all I know, it's just pseudoscience.
I think the
It's-
Ankylodon did, one near its tail.
Did it really?
I believe so.
Well, I've got to find out about this because I just watched it. It's utter garbage. Utter garbage. And that was second time through. And I watched it thinking, I'm going to enjoy this.
I will say fair enough that you gave it the second try.
Yeah.
I still enjoy it. I still like it.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Another big news this week was we saw an image of Ben Affleck as Batman,
Ben Affleck is...
The Bat Flick.
and we saw the Batmobile.
Yes.
And in one split moment, I realized that is it Zack Snyder's doing this
Zack
one?
Snyder.
Zack
Yeah.
Snyder. I realized that Zack Snyder had learned absolutely nothing from Christopher Nolan.
I believe the design they've gone for is from Batman Noel with a massive logo on his chest.
First let's talk about the Batmobile.
Yeah.
Because Batman might be cool, but let's be honest.
It's
All
the
we
car.
really
Kids
care
love the
about,
car.
all we really care about is the Batmobile,
Yeah.
right? Whenever I first saw the Tumbler in the original, the
Batman
original
Begins.
Batman reboot, the Batman
Yeah.
Begins, I wasn't sold. I thought it doesn't look anything like a Batmobile. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I went back and I watched the Batman trilogy, okay? And Michael Keaton is still my favorite Batman,
Same.
okay? I loved his portrayal of Batman. I thought it was great. And I loved the Batmobile in that movie,
Yes.
okay? And then it got crap. It got really
It got
wobbly
really bad.
and really,
Yeah,
really
just
crap.
more and more started falling off the facade.
Yeah, well, the wings were wobbling, and it was
Yeah.
all lights for absolutely no reason. By the time George Clooney faced off against Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Yeah.
it was head in the hands type stuff. It was
Yeah.
that bad. That was when the Tumbler really grew on me because Nolan's depiction of Batman was so gritty, real that that became the gold standard for me. Okay, so and when Heath Ledger did the Joker, it was
It
like
was fantastic. Yeah.
that movie was streaks ahead even of what Keaton did because the Keaton stuff is really camp compared to that. Not that there's anything wrong with camp, but I mean it's dark, but it's more gothic dark than gritty dark.
Yeah.
Do you understand where I'm going
Yeah.
with that?
It's a stylized dark.
Whenever the Batman versus Superman movie was touted, alarm bells immediately rang in my head, and I thought, if ever there was two uncompatible characters, I'm a bit firm believer that Superman doesn't belong in any other movie other than Superman, because Superman is a god.
Essentially,
Okay,
yes.
what can you do? It's like, but then I thought I'll give it a chance because Thor is effectively a god, and the Avengers pulled it off. They pulled it off. They brought together what I would have considered uncompatible characters like the Hulk. The Hulk. How could anybody interact or dialogue with the Hulk? They managed to pull it off. Thor is a god. How do you mix Thor? Something that cannot be killed with the likes of Captain America, who's innately
Who also
vulnerable.
pretty much can't be killed.
Captain America is certainly more vulnerable than Thor. It says Captain America immortal. I don't think
he's not immortal.
He was
immortal
frozen
at all.
in ice for
His
however many
aging's
years.
been slowed down.
Yeah, but he's not immortal.
No.
A bullet to the head and you will
he
kill
did get
Captain
killed
America.
by a bullet to the head at one point.
There we go.
Fair enough.
There we go.
He got better.
But so I thought I'll give Superman versus Batman a chance. Okay, I just don't see where it's going. And then I saw this picture, and I realized, oh, hang on a second here. This is not a continuation of Nolan's vision at all.
No, it isn't.
This is a complete, almost like a reboot of the reboot.
So even though whenever the new Batman started coming out, we thought, yes, finally they're doing it right. No, they're not.
I don't know. Maybe the comic book aficionados out there, maybe you guys will be able to give me an education in this, okay? Maybe that image is getting you guys excited because maybe you're looking at that and saying, okay, yes, but this is the Batman of this particular period or of this particular
Universe.
setting, and it's worth looking at. I looked at it and I saw the Ripley muscles and the veins, and I thought, yeah, the only thing he's missing this time around is the nipples.
Yep, and then you look at the car itself, and it's looking as if they just took the lights out of George Clooney's car.
Well, no.
I like this Batmobile.
I think
Or am I thinking the wrong
no,
one?
the Batmobile. If I hadn't seen Nolan's Batmobile, if I hadn't got used to the tumbler, I thought, yeah, this is quite good. And to me, it looks a bit more like the original one that was in the Keaton movie, only
It's kind of
a
like
bit
the
more.
Keaton one mixed with the Tumbler.
Yeah. It is. That's exactly what it's like. It is that kind of like a mix between the two. So I don't know what to think. I love Batman.
Suck it
I
and see.
cannot see how Batman and Superman could in any way interact. If Superman wanted to kill Batman, he could do it in a heartbeat.
Trust me, you want to see half of the parodies online where they interact and just take the piss out of it.
Yeah,
It's
Colin
funny as
Schumer
hell.
did a good one.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it's going to go, but
There have been some actually really good comics about Batman and Superman teaming up, like Batman and Superman Public Enemies, which was made into a DC animated movie. It's quite good, where Lex Luthor has become president, and these two end up being framed and on the run.
Yeah.
It's quite a good one. So
Lex
whether they'll do the
Luthor
same.
becoming president. Do you know what?
It's happened a few times.
If you had said that about 4 weeks ago on the Weekender, I'd have been sitting going, how the is that possible? I have now watched House of Cards, and I know exactly how that's possible.
Kevin Spacey at his best.
I want to see House of Cards now with Lex Luthor.
Yeah, well, Kevin Spacey's in it, and he did play Lex Luthor, so
Yes, he did.
He did. So it's House of Cards has completely opened that possibility for me of how that might happen. Do you know what? I think all we can do is give them the benefit of the doubt at the moment
And wait and see.
and wait and see. But certainly that image kind of took me back. It wasn't what I was expecting. But you know
enough.
what? Maybe that's a good thing for a movie, because if it did what I was expecting, it probably wouldn't be very much fun for anybody. So, Sambo, last one. You want to talk about this because this guy is a big favourite of yours. That's
This
John
is
Constantine.
John Constantine, you magnificent bastard. I love this guy. Hellblazer, the original comic stays from, is one of my favourite series of comic books. And I know you were just giving me a glare there because I swore.
I always do.
He's counting the beeps already. So
Well, you have to swear with John Constantine.
Fair enough.
It's the way it goes. And to be honest, the Keanu Reeves movie, which is the only other time he's been put to film.
now that was my only
Other reference to it?
that was my only reference that I knew of to Constantine. And again, I didn't even realize it had come out of a comic book. I should have known better these days. Everything comes from a comic book. But
Well, everything that's half decent.
now, before you pan it, I enjoyed that movie.
I have fun with that movie, but it's not Constantine.
Is it not?
No.
No, it's Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Playing Keanu Reeves.
The only things they got right about Constantine in that movie were he smokes and everyone around him dies. That was the only thing they got right.
Yeah.
And while this new series, they've done away with the smoking because I think the makers NBC don't allow their protagonists to smoke.
Yeah.
In every other way, he's John Constantine. He's back to being English, although they've toned his accent down for an American audience.
Right. Okay.
He's got his long coat. He's regretting being put into these situations. He just finds himself in these situations, turns life into a living hell for everyone around him, but somehow comes out of it smelling of roses. He's the world's greatest con man.
Is that really what he is then?
He's a magician. He's a white-collar magician. First created by Alan Moore of Watchmen fame.
Yeah.
But he's... You know how your instant thought of a wizard would be a spell-slinging Merlin type thing? He's the complete opposite. To him, magic's just another job.
Yeah.
And he does it because that's all he knows how to do. That's his job. But he makes most of his money through cons these days.
One of the things in the Constantine movie that I found quite powerful was the fact that Constantine was going to hell.
Yeah.
And whatever he did, he was pretty much going to hell. Is that a part of the core story?
That is a part of the trailers that they've shown us for this new TV series. That is going to be a main part of it.
Yeah. Is that his motivation? Is to try, because that was certainly the motivation of Keanu Reeves' character.
For this
is that
TV
he was
series,
trying to stop himself from
Yeah, it
having
was
to go to
a
hell.
redemption to it.
For this TV series, it does look like that's going to be the main thing. It shows John Constantine.
Yeah.
The trailer starts with John Constantine having signed himself into an insane asylum due to the fact that he keeps seeing demons and conducting exorcisms and the like. But it goes on, and he's got to help protect this girl who's become aware of the supernatural world.
Yeah.
And by doing so, it's suggesting that he'll be able to save his soul from going to hell. How it'll go... He doesn't have a shotgun made out of a cross anymore.
So like the holy hand grenade?
No holy hand grenade. He's no longer mostly Christian-based, although I do think they were focusing on the whole angels and demons side of thing, which is a big part of the Hellblazer comics.
They focused on it too much in the movie.
No, they focused on it to the exclusion of absolutely everything in the movie. In the comic books, John Constantine is someone who has conned both heaven and hell.
Yeah.
So he doesn't really work for anyone.
Ah, cool. Well, two things on that. One is I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it because I am a big fan of of Constantine. The movie got me into it, and then talking to Sam, I started thinking, oh god, this is really cool. Secondly, I may as well let you guys know, they didn't know this, but I am looking into a Beasts of War ghost hunt.
I'm out. I don't need no magic.
I've been on Ghost Hunt.
Where we're going to take the cameras and stuff like that there on a terrifying night. Ultimately, we're going to try and catch a ghost, Beasts of War style.
So we're going to make one beforehand.
We might. I'll have to watch Hobby Lab.
First, you get your Justin.
One of the little pastimes a lot of us have had anyway in Beasts of War has been a little bit of paranormal because it's interesting, it's exciting,
it's fun.
and there are some strange things that go on. I could tell you some cracking stories. Come to one of our Backstager meetups. We'll get some beers going. I'll tell you some really interesting ones. But myself and Lloyd have been talking about this recently,
right?
And we thought, do you know what? With the whole Constantine and stuff like that going on, it's time that we did a Beasts of War proper paranormal night and a ghost hunt. Okay? So stay tuned on that. We're in talks with a couple of different venues.
You guys are going to have fun because I am a massive coward.
Yeah, you're going.
Yeah, I'm going.
You're
I've been
definitely
before.
going. You're
I've been to
definitely
these
going.
things before, but whenever I go, I turn into Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
I love it. Anyway, guys, we're going to call it at that. This is the part of the show where I tell you a little bit more about Backstage. This weekend, there's 7-day free trials for the bloody thing. Thanks to Matt from Mini Wargame again for that. In XLBS, which goes out tomorrow morning on beastsofwar.com, we're going to be talking about the gaming that we've done this week. We're going to talk about Naked Space Marines. Because we all need to talk about Naked Space Marines. We're going to be talking about some of the stuff that we're working on at the moment with like 1080p, etc. We're going to be talking about what is our favorite gaming genre. We also have one of the guys from Drop Zone Commander dropping in to do some filming with us. So we're in the middle of building our Drop Zone Commander table, and we're going to show you some of that in Backstage. And then finally, I'm going to put out a call out to the Backstagers where we discuss how on earth do you make homemade scatter. If you want to support Beasts of War and keep the lights running, keep the servers running, and just basically keep this whole thing moving forward, subscribing to Backstage would be an amazing way to help out, and we'd very much appreciate it as a community. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next weekend in The Weekender.